How
can
are
hear you.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
Great.
Hey. Well, first of all, happy birthday.
Yes, today is my birthday.
Yeah, I didn't think you
Yes,
were
today
gonna
is
do
my
it.
birthday. And
Yeah, I didn't think you were gonna come on for your birthday because you had mentioned it earlier. And then I was I was online doing my research for work. I was like, oh, she did come on for her birthday. Okay, I'm in honor for that. So I'm not gonna take up too much of your time.
all right, darling.
So any plans for your birthday today?
I have big plans. I'm going to
Okay,
go from the living room to the kitchen, and then I'm going to go in my bedroom, and then I'm going to
okay,
go back in the kitchen. So I have big plans. No, really, we're
uh,
going to, we're supposed to go see maybe lights tonight. And
okay,
therefore, all we have to do is just drive. We don't have to get out the car. You know,
okay,
I'm visiting my daughters in Tennessee, so I'm not in LA. And I
okay.
thought I would be in LA, visiting, going back home to my other home. But, it's kind of risky. It's kind of
Yeah,
risky, don't you think?
yeah. I mean, I have a lot of friends that unfortunately they passed. Their mamas
I
passed.
had a few friends also that passed, but it's so you're blessed when you only have a little strand, you get it, but you're not really sick. And I
Right.
think that, those people are really blessed.
Yeah, like I got a little sick last week. Went tested. They said you're fine. It just happens to be that little cold, and I was just like, okay. I,
Really? Were
yeah.
you
So
tired?
yeah, I got a little tired, so I started getting a little worried. But I've already been for two tests already, and they said, no, you're good. You got the cold, so you're good. And I'm
Maybe,
like,
yeah.
I'm still staying away from people though. I ain't.
You
I ain't.
have to, and then vitamin D. They
Oh
say
yeah.
vitamin D is good. And I have an old West Indian recipe that I've been giving my children forever. But
Oh, you do.
yeah,
What's that
it
about? What's
it
that
consists
about?
of onion. And
Okay.
kids don't like onion, but I put a lot of sugar in it and the juice
Okay.
comes up and I give them a tablespoon every day. And they've never had a cold, thank God.
So a little onion with some sugar.
No, really, okay, I got to tell it now that everybody heard. You just slice the
Yeah.
onion. Just
Okay.
slice the onion up. You slice maybe two onions up, slice them up, the little brown onions. You lay them out, and then you pour sugar. I pour white sugar. Okay, whatever. You pour white sugar all over it so it covers it all up. Then you cover the pot or the bowl or wherever you're putting it, and you let it stay for 24 hours. In 24 hours, all of the good juice comes up. Then you strain that and you put it in a little jar. And every single morning, you give your children 1 tablespoon of that. And you take it too.
I'm on that. I'm on that.
My grandmother from the West Indies, that was her recipe.
Okay. Wow. Okay. You got a name for that? You got a
There's no
name for that?
name. I don't even
Well,
say it. I just
I
do
was
it.
gonna the Thelma special. What you gonna give me some? I'm gonna call it that then.
What you gonna call it?
I'm gonna call it the Thelma special. That's what I'm gonna
Yes, give them the Thelma special for colds and
say.
coughs and to keep the little buggies away.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna go in
And they
history.
love it. It is so sweet. My little granddaughter takes it. She says, I said, come here and get your little medicine. And she'll like, okay. They love it.
Yeah, because I hate onions, but with the sugar, I'll be all right though. So, how did this whole uh, talent TV thing started with you? How young were you? Did you decide like as a child? When I grow up, we all had that one dream. We want to be a fireman. We want to be an actor, a singer, a performer. You
A
know,
fireman. My little grandbaby said that on Instagram on her little
what do you
graduation day. The teacher said, well, what do you want to be? She said, a fireman.
Is
I'm
that
like,
right?
where did you get that?
That's so old
No,
school.
but I do
Remember?
have firemen in my family. In fact, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, just retired.
Mhm.
So congratulations, Scotty. And from the fire department. I have a nephew that's also in the fire department. So, they're part of my family too.
Oh, okay.
So now how I got started on Good Times. Well, I think that, I'll tell my story a little bit different, but it was like I was in a beauty pageant, and they saw me on that beauty pageant. And lo and behold, I'm glad I had a mother that was determined to not take my crap. Because that morning I got up and I decided I wasn't going to go to this beauty pageant because I had never won anything. So who am I to win anything? I was, talking negative. So I learned something from that. So what I did was my mother, you're going to get dressed and you're going to go. And so we went. And when I got there, I did my thing. And a manager came over to my mother and said, we're looking for a daughter for a TV show. It looks like she can fit in that show. So we went up to CBS to meet Norman Lear, and Jimmy Walker was in the part at the time. And when I walked in there, it was like thousands of girls.
Wow.
So you know how I felt, like, oh, really? It was my first audition anyway. Anyway, so I did it anyway. But the paper that they gave us to read from was so, like, not us, not what a young teenager would say to her brother. So I improvised. And I think I had Norman really laughing. It was really good. The chemistry between Jimmy and I were natural. And so I think that from that moment on, he kind of had his idea. That might be that. But anyway, a week later, 2 weeks later, they asked me to go to California and audition, and I did. And I didn't hear back from these people for like months. Then all of a sudden they called up and they told my mother, she's Thelma.
Wow.
But what I learned from that was that the negative talk, the talking myself out of it, trying to make it not happen for myself, because I had fear. Fear is a big, big deal. So I learned that don't let fear stop you from walking into your destiny. Right. Because truly, Good Times became my destiny. And sometimes when we're just getting ready to be successful in life and things that we may want to do, we get all kind of doubts. We get all kind of fears like, oh, come on, they're not going to take me. You start telling yourself, it's like a little devil on your shoulder. Right. And I said, well, where's my angel? Well, it was my mother. Anyway, you have to not talk negative to yourself. You have to tell yourself, I'm going to be very good. I'm going to do this. That's how I teach my kids now, because I went through such a traumatic experience at that moment. But I learned that you speak what you want, in your life. And my mother was that woman, she had faith when I had no faith. And sometimes it's so good when you have someone on your side when we wane, because we all do, we all get a little doubtful sometimes. And if you have someone that'll say, oh, I don't see it that way, I see it this way, you are able to do this, that can give you that extra little boost to make it happen for yourself.
Sure. I mean, I had, I was, my grandparents raised me, so,
So you're a wise man.
Yeah, I learned a lot from them. There was always something about grandparents raising a child than sometimes the parents, at least from my experience and my friends that I've grown up with, and the history behind all that and the knowledge that they would tell me, because here I am, this little redhead freckle kid, mixed kid in school, going through it and having a grandfather, that was just really stern, so telling me you can do it, don't worry about them, don't listen to anybody, what they say, you're going to get through it. So, yeah, that's, very important.
And it probably made you so wiser than you even can imagine, because, when we have grandparents, or when we have, even parents that are a little older, the things that they can teach you are so incredible and valuable, and young parents, they have the energy to keep you going. But, even young parents should listen to their parents. Sometimes some of the things that you tell them can save a, you know, save a child, can save things. And so I think that you're very fortunate to have had your grandparents in your life, because we grew up without grandparents. All of my grandparents died early, except for my grandfather, who was estranged. I really didn't know him well until I got on Good Times. Then I met him. But growing up, it was just mom and dad raising 5 kids.
That's why with the Good Times, James was, I was so attracted to James' character because that's how my grandfather was.
Well,
Very
that's old
old.
school, you know, and you know, we didn't spare the rod, and you know how you raise a child in the beginning is how they're going to grow up. You know, you got to put a little fear in them because you got to teach them some guidelines. And I admire Esther Roll, because Esther Roll really fought for us, and she
Right.
made sure that you know, everything stayed in line, because she came from a family with a mom and dad. I know I did. And in that era, a lot of people did. Not a lot, but a lot of us did. So
Sure.
we knew what daddy had to do. We knew what mommy does. So that's what we brought to the show. You know, it was like a marriage between the producers, the writers, and the actors,
Right.
because they
Yeah,
both had to learn each other.
right. And, you know, Esther's role, I mean, that was my grandmother. You know, I was so attracted to that show. It was just like my grandma was a soft in, try to smooth my grandfather out because, you know, there are no rods, which worked for me. You know, me growing up in that time, you know, we lived in the projects a little bit. That worked for me. I don't know if I would ever be like that to my children because times have changed. But at the time, that put me in my place and made me a respectful man.
Exactly, because
I
I
am.
grew up in the projects also, and
Okay.
my father was that stern daddy. And at that
Okay.
time, you needed that. You needed
Yeah.
that to keep going in the right direction, because there was so many things around, you know, the ghetto where where it came from, like you said, that could influence you. So if you had somebody in the house that you were a little bit afraid of, you know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna go home and be nodding. They can see it.
Right.
They're looking in your eyes. They're
Right.
watching you. See, you have to really watch your children these days.
Yeah. And you need that edge when you're growing up in that environment because anything can go left the
Yes.
next day.
Oh, yes.
Like, like
People are
as a
all
child,
around us.
yeah, I'm not even paying attention who I'm hanging out with because my folks, you know, I'm outside playing around. Next thing you know, the police are at my house because I was throwing rocks on the 405 freeway on Culver Boulevard. You know, I didn't see nothing wrong with it, but I got my ass for it. But
Yep.
you know, you just so
Amen.
dumb. You just following the
Amen.
crowd,
And
doing what
so many
everybody.
people that we know are either dead or in jail from not having that upbringing, not having
Yeah.
that stern upbringing. And you know what? I give credit to a lot of women too, because there were a lot of mothers, a few mothers that were, you know, didn't have a dad in the home, and they were strong women, you know, and they raised those boys to be men. So, you know,
Yes.
I give them a lot of credit. You know, they had to be the daddy and the mommy.
Yeah.
Sometimes the
Mom,
father has to be the mommy and the daddy, you know, so we have to give these people credit.
right. And both parents are absolutely important to have, but I can stress on how important it is for a son that has his mom there, being a man. You
You
gotta
know,
have it.
I learned something. I learned, you know, watching mother and father and the children and everything. At some
Mm-hmm.
point, girl children need daddies
Mm-hmm.
and boy children need mommies.
Yes.
And boy children need daddies and girl children need mommies. So I see the importance of having a good family relationship with that to develop a child to become well-rounded in their vision for their future.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be a real dad or a real mom. It could be a surrogate. It could be a step parent that is a good parent. It could be a grandfather that steps in, a grandmother that steps in. Any maternal, paternal, you know, situation that loves that child can be okay.
Right.
And
It
a lot
makes
of times
me
they're okay without them because the child is a good child and the person that is rearing them is very, very strong and good. But I do see a lot of difference in, gentlemen these days that may not have had that father, stern image. I see it in these days more. They're good kids. It's just that they lose hope somewhere, a lot of them. And I think that for men, children, if they have a father, they're always trying to impress their dad. They're always trying to do that. And I think girls need their dads, because the dad is the first male figure that lets them know that they're pretty, or that they need to be calm, or they need to be, smart, to give them that confidence, because we're going to grow up and we're going to meet men, and we don't need to look to men for that confidence. We really should have that within ourselves growing up.
Right.
So that we can at least pick, someone that is comparable to us, someone, and you can sense when things are not right. And that's how I look at it. That's just how I look at things like that. I think that if you instill certain things in a girl child, she has confidence as a man. And when she grows up, there are certain things that she won't stand for.
Right. No, I think that's really important. And the fact that you brought up that how a son always feels like he has to impress his father. And I find when you say that, because my grandfather was, my father. So he took me out. I didn't have no summers till I was 10 years old. I had to get up 5 o'clock in the morning every summer, garden and everything. But he didn't really want me to be a gardener. He just wanted to show me how it is to work hard.
Yes.
Because I got into music.
That's good.
So in my grade school, I was already taking turntables apart, wanting to DJ. They didn't kill that dream, even though they were so old school, like you see in some, real life movies, how they talk about, oh, you're not going to make it as a musician, or, that music career is not, foundation enough. I never got that coming from those old school parents. They were
right. They encourage you.
Yeah. So my grandparents just said this: look, if you want to get in that game, I see any drugs or alcohol, we cutting all of that.
That's right. That's right. And they were behind you 100%. And that's all you needed, because you are dynamite, baby.
Yeah. I know you're going to throw that in there. That's great.
You know I was.
I know you was. So you went through the old good times thing, and then I know I saw you. I remember as a child seeing you on Love Boat and everything. How was that doing those certain little those movies and sitcoms after that? Was it like a different experience working so long on Good Times and then coming over, and then you did Love Boat, a couple other things you did too, I remember. How was that transition?
Fun.
Was it fun?
It was really, really fun. I enjoyed that.
Like
I enjoyed doing that. Guest spots and certain things like that. The latest thing I did just before Charlie Murphy and John Witherspoon passed away, I did Black Jesus with them.
You did? Okay.
That wild show.
How was that?
I was a wild character, let me tell you.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
I'm gonna catch that. It's funny. I loved it. It was so different from what I would ever be. But I took the chance and did that part. I said yes. I came back to see, my ex-husband, which was John Witherspoon, and he was a drunk, so he didn't want anything to do with me because he said I drove him to drink. So okay, well, all right. So the character of Lloyd, I guess Charlie Murphy's character, says, well, he must be crazy because I'll take you.
Okay. I got to see that. I'm going to find that.
You got to Google that one.
Is it good? Oh, God. How was it on the Wayans brothers? I'm sorry about that.
The Wayans brothers?
Yeah, I was working with them.
Those guys are so cool. They're so funny. They make you relax. They're just like, you're hanging out with, your homeboys. So they had me all fixed up like Thelma. And the spoof was funny. And I just had fun with them.
Yeah, I
I've
had
known
them on
them for
my show.
many years. I've known them before they even got the show.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yes, I
okay.
knew Keenan, and I met his brother, and
Okay.
they were just regular guys, you know,
Right.
talented, regular
Oh,
guys.
yeah, I had them on my show a couple of times. They're good guys too, real good guys.
Yes, they
So
are.
I got one more before you go celebrate. How was it working on What's Happening? Because I love that show too.
You know, that is so funny because Ernest Thomas, he just texted me a happy birthday, darling. He goes, happy birthday,
Oh,
darling.
really?
And yeah. And he showed me a picture of us together. And he said, and he put in all caps, I love you, Bern. You know, forever. And then I text back, Ernie, I love you forever and ever. And I'm telling you, it's time for me to start laughing. So I've got to get with you. That man keeps me in stitches. Do you hear me? I don't know. It's just something about him, just being him. I just crack up and laugh all the time.
Right.
That's what I do with Ernie Thomas. Yes, I love him.
Yeah, he was such a natural on that. It was like.
Hold on a second. Read it to me. Okay. Happy birthday, wishing you nothing but the best. Oceans of beautiful love. Now, this is from Jimmy Walker. I just got my little birthday message from him. I'm going to read it to you guys.
Yeah, come on.
Well, the worst year of lives. Here's hoping this is. Have a great birthday. Wishing you nothing but the best. Oceans of birthday love coming from Jimmy. Jimmy Walker, my JJ. I'm telling you, we're like a family. Ralph called my brother Michael. He called me earlier. I had to get back to him. And Jimmy just texted me. They stay right on top. John texted me this morning and his manager. So, I mean, we are a family.
Yeah, no wonder the show was so attractive to people because you could feel that. Even as a child, you know, I was a child. I was a child, and there was only certain movies that would keep me on TV because I had ADHD. But my parents were going to give me no medication. They're like, no, there's nothing wrong with you.
Were we your medication?
Yeah, yes. I would go. I don't know what it was. It was like Sanford and Son. It was red in there.
It was real. It was, you know, my daddy always said this. When he saw Good, he said, Good Times was the first reality TV.
Yes, family. It related to everybody.
It was real. We dealt with some real issues.
No, it was. And as a child, I'm just looking at that, relating to it in my Mexican home, going, this is just all, you know, but my mom would be there watching it with me. It wasn't like, you know, she's like, oh, let's watch. Because she loved it too. So, you know, my mom was a young 17-year-old mom. It was just the connection of that there was nothing else just came out like that. You guys, nothing.
Those were some precious days. I love those days.
Yeah, it was good, and I just want to thank you, and I'm sure everybody on here, you know, growing up with you feels like they're a part of that family and you, and I was so excited when you said you'd come on. I was like, oh, she said yes.
Absolutely. I know who you are, baby. I know.
I was like, yeah. I said, Mama. I said, Thelma said she gonna come on my Instagram. She's like, really? I was like, yeah. And she goes, that's great. So
that's right.
Thelma, thank you so much. I don't want to take up too much. I have so many questions, but maybe we'll get to the middle of the year.
Let's do it again.
Okay, please do it. God bless you and happy birthday.
And thank you so much. God bless you too. I enjoyed it.
I did too. It was good. Thank you.